G'day. Welcome back to Aussievision, where we are in mourning. It is a sad day here in Australia this morning. We have just finished watching the second semi-final of Eurovision 2025, where Gojo, our beloved milkshake man, has unfortunately failed to progress to the grand final of the contest for this year. My name is Craig, and I am joined for this funeral that we are having for Gojo by three of my beloved colleagues. We have Hayley, Sam, and Saskia. How are you all going this morning, guys? See, they're in mourning. Even they don't know what to say. It's a hard day for all of us. Let's go straight to the topic of conversation for this morning. Uh, Gojo missed out. I think it's a bit of a surprise. I just got a message from Liv saying I want to die. So I think it's been something that wasn't really expected by anyone prior to the semi-final, but nonetheless, we're here. So, Sam, I'm going to go to you first. Were you surprised? What do you think went wrong? Were there any qualifiers that made it through instead that you were surprised by?
Well, yeah, I think a bit like Belgium last semi-final. I think I'm a bit shell-shocked. Um, Look, I think the studio version was my second favorite track overall. I did love all the costume changes. I loved the, retro Australia vibe to it. I think if I have to be constructive criticism, I think his vocals probably weren't the best on the night, especially compared to the lineup. I also wish the dancers did a bit more than just posing. I felt for an energetic song, you needed like dance backing dancers like a lot of the other entries had. But I think what probably killed it is probably the opening running order because there was just so much activity afterwards. We just off the top of my head, like Finland, Luxembourg, Armenia. It just kind of gets lost in the running order. And I think, as a country that doesn't really have a diaspora vote in Europe to rely on, we are sort of a bit at the mercy of the running order to a certain extent. So I think that's probably the reasons why. But yeah, I'm still pretty gutted. Hmm.
Yeah. Good analysis there. Was there anyone who went through that you weren't expecting to go through in place of Australia?
Well, I think a few Australians will disagree with me. I thought Denmark, I love her studio track, but I thought because there were so many female acts and up tempo, I thought she would have got a bit lost. I also thought her staging probably wasn't the best. I thought for hallucination she could have had a better light show. But I'm delighted for her. She's got a fantastic song. She's a fantastic person. I'm obviously a bit gutted for Ireland personally, but again, up tempo female is going to be hard to stand out, especially number three in the running order.
I'm gonna say I had been very negative about the rehearsal footage we'd seen for Denmark, but watching it tonight and seeing the whole thing, I was pleasantly surprised, and I actually wasn't that surprised to see it go through in the end. I think particularly the first minute or two really popped, particularly where it wasn't on anymore. It just felt like a sort of breath of normality among all the sort of craziness for me. Hayley, I mean, you're dressed for the occasion, clearly.
I
I
was.
think you may have dressed for the wrong party though.
I know.
How are you feeling?
I'm shocked. To me that was absolutely flawless. There was nothing wrong with that performance other than what you said, Sam, about the dancers being a little bit static and a bit posy. But I think, do Europe hate us? Um, like we were in
Hayley,
semi.
no, we're not doing the British thing. Stop right there.
Um, we were in the semi with all, I mean, the only people missing from our semi, I guess, was Sweden, but I thought we were in the right semi to get some votes. He's just so engaging. It's a great song. The only thing I can think of is I think being first maybe put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of other points I'll probably raise, but let's go to Saskia first because I know you haven't always been super hot on this song, I think. So maybe you've got a more critical perspective which can help shed some light on this.
Yeah, going into this semi-final, I was fairly confident that we would qualify. I would say watching the live, I thought the first minute was a little shaky. Like
Mhm.
he started off on the, I think the wrong foot, but by the end, I was like, oh yeah, we're making it. Like I think this is it. I don't think coming first in the running order is as much as a hindrance as we think. We saw in the last semi-final, 6 out of 7 of the first half
Yeah.
qualified. Like I don't think it's a running order thing. I think that if I have to get down to it, if you're watching this first time ever on the night, I think it had the Iru effect of people just didn't know what he was talking about. Like, I think the angle was a bit confusing, what he was singing about. I mean, yes, there was the milkshake theme, but like the whole sort of zhuzhing up someone in the blender, the yassification blender. I don't know what we're doing, but I just think it was a little, like, I think it just got a little lost, like the messaging of the song. I think we saw it with Cyprus as well, among other things. People just didn't know what to make of the lyrics, and if you don't have a point, I think it gets a little, it's hard to root for. But yeah, I also would think that out of all the qualifiers, there was nothing shocking to me. I don't think anything made it in where I was like, there was no Portugal or San Marino even, like where I was like, whoa, that's making it over this. I think Denmark gave a really good performance. I would say that Denmark was probably the borderline, maybe Malta, and then I wouldn't be surprised if we came 11th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or Serbia because they always come 11th, so maybe we came
Mm.
12th. But no, I agree with all that. I think the other thing I'd say is that from the start, the issue was perhaps we sent a silly, quirky song in the year where everyone else also decided that that was the thing to do. And so there was always going to be a lot of competition, I think, for something like this. And so maybe little things did just, I agree with you, it's probably just little things. I don't think there's anything, I think there's going to be a lot of head scratching at SBS, a
Yeah.
lot of what do we do now? But
Can I just interject with that though, Craig, with us, being a novelty song? I did feel quite novelty in a way, but it's still a really quality song.
yeah, it's
But
well
this
produced.
wasn't the semi of novelty, I felt. It was the other
Uh,
semi that was more novelty. We had the Iceland, the Estonia, the Sweden. I kind of feel that the other semi was a little more novelty.
I don't know. I'm like you've got Leica Party,
Malta.
you've got Malta, you've got Finland, which isn't novelty, but I think is quite
Mm,
out there. Stuff like Latvia might read as a bit strange to the audience. You've got I don't know. It's very I actually it's not novelty. I think novelty is the wrong word, but this is a semi-final where it was very like and now this and now for something completely different. You had La
mm,
Poupée Monte le Son, which was sort of doing the its own weird little thing. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just in a semi-final with so much going on maybe people just found shinier things to look at as it went on,
mm.
unfortunately. Um, but let's move on. Let's move to some happier discussions. Obviously, some great acts in this semi-final. Who do we think took out the night? Saskia, I'm going to go to you first this time.
I think I think it was Finland. I think it was just, it's a shame that it can't close the final because I just can't picture it anywhere else. Like, what are you gonna do when this is like 11th in the running order? It's like this is like tailor made to close a show. I thought her performance was incredible. I think, like me personally, because I've seen a lot of people praise the stage. I think the staging is, for the most part, if an actor's using the whole stage, it looks really awkward, and she made it look like it was designed for her act. Like I think she really worked
Mm.
within it well. And I don't see who else could have competed with her.
Yeah, that point about her in the running order is interesting because I think the only place I could actually see her otherwise is first. It
Yeah.
feels like something you could actually like whack up first and have like a like boom, and now
Mm,
like set the bar high, and now it's everyone else's job.
yeah.
But yeah, putting it in the middle seems kind of odd to me. Hayley, what about you? Who do you think won?
It's got to be Finland, right?
Mm.
Just bombastic, loud. That staging is just so good. It's not overly complicated. She just makes use of the right parts of the staging, and I love the bit where she walks back down the catwalk and it's all the lights are surrounding her, and it's just she's a superstar. So I'd love to see Finland win the whole thing.
Erica feels like the one act from this year who could probably go quite big internationally. She
Mm,
feels like someone who could just be a big pop star.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree entirely. Fantastic. Sam, what about you?
Yeah, I think in terms of who won the semi, I think probably between Finland and Israel. I
Mm.
think we've discussed Finland enough. I'm going to be honest about Israel. I think obviously there's been a strong advertising campaign like last year. So, and I think, its place in the running order is pretty late. I did think it was objectively the best ballad of the night. And it was a very classy and elegant performance. I did really like the huge crystal prop. I thought it could be an ad for that crystal brand Schwakovsky or whatever it's called. Um, but yeah, I think she definitely wasn't the best of the night. But I think if I have to be honest with some of the the situation going on. I think, it was between Finland and Israel, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much. I think my view would be it's Finland unless Israel's managed to motivate the televote again. There's always that possibility, and to some degree, it's hard to predict how that went because so much of it doesn't have much to do with what we see on screen, which is all we really have to go on. Um, but yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I agree with everyone. I think it was either Finland or Israel tonight. Um, if we look at the non-competitive acts, we had two sort of big fan favorites in France and Germany give their first live performance tonight, and we also had the UK there too. So Hayley, what did you think of France and Germany? And if you want to talk about the UK, by all means. Um, do you think that France and Germany are in a position to do really well on Saturday?
Look, I'm starting to think Germany's going to be a bit of a sneaky top 10.
Hmm.
I loved it. It felt so German, didn't it? Like this is something you would see in a Berlin nightclub at 4 a.m. and you'd still be wanting to keep partying. Um, I I know you love France and she was really good, but out of the three, sorry UK, but I definitely preferred Germany. I loved it. Any concerns about her vocals, I think, are gone. I think she sounded perfectly fine. So not amazing, but perfectly fine. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm as everyone knows, I love France this year, but I will say I think Germany was the best of the three as well. I also love Germany. I think Germany's coming close to France in terms of my estimations this year. Um, I don't know if I'd say that her vocal was great, but I
Mm,
would say that it is good enough,
adequate.
particularly given the amount of backing she's got supporting her, it will be okay, I think is how I would say that. And the staging and the song, the essentials are strong enough there that we can get away with a sort of 5 out of 10 vocal, I think, or something like that. I don't think people are watching a performance like that for the vocal. I think this has a bit of a sort of Lena effect, like from 2010. I'm not saying that she's going to win necessarily, although, but there's a sort of there's a normality like this. I could see someone watching this at a Eurovision party and being like, "Oh, that's like the cool song. That's like the good song," and voting for it just randomly. And I think it could do pretty well.
Mm.
I'll talk about France shortly, but let's go to Saskia first. What did you make of the big five acts tonight?
Yeah, I thought they were all like pretty strong. I think France, I'm not really seeing a winner in it. I think it has a great
Mm.
finish, but I think like the opening minute or two is just a little bit maybe over choreographed,
Hmm.
a bit overstaged. The bit at the end where it's like spiraling, like the sand, I thought was really strong. But yeah, everything else I was just sort of a bit iffy on. I think Germany was also really good. Yeah, it's a song that doesn't require a great vocal performance.
Mm.
I think it'll really, since it's such a big hit as well, and like a few people I know who don't really follow Eurovision that much, they do like this song. I think it'll really motivate young people. Like I think this will be like the young person's like vote like song that they will vote for this year. I can really see them rallying behind it. So I can see this getting a really good televote score in the final. And then the UK was
Also
like
present,
solid,
also there.
like
Yeah.
solid. I thought their vocals were really good, but they need to turn up the backing track because they sounded too exposed.
Fair, fair. Yeah, on France, I agree. I think I've given up on my winner hopes for this now, and I think the point you made about being over choreographed is the main one there. That shot at the start where she's got like the hourglass and she's like, "Look at me turning it over." It felt a little bit too rehearsed to me.
Mm,
I think this is a song that's supposed to be quite emotional and personal to her, and instead it feels like she's just going through the she's like five, six, seven, eight. Here's
Yeah.
my bang. Here's my beat. Here's my blocking. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and I don't. I need her to let go and like even cry or something. I think would be. It's the sort of song where you could get away with sort of a bit of a cheeky cry. I think.
Yeah. Can
And
I just say something about that, Craig, though? Remember, was it 2021 Bulgaria?
yeah,
Remember Victoria and kind of a similar kind of sentiment, the song, and she
yeah,
was
yeah,
on that salmon plinth,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and it was kind of there was the oranges and the softness, and it felt like France was a little bit too clear.
Cold. Yeah, it was a bit cold. Um,
Yeah.
no, I agree with that. I still think it'll do okay. I don't think we're on for like a French disaster or anything. But I'm not seeing Paris 2026 unfortunately anymore. I don't think. Sam, what about you? Just to cut to you on the big five.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about France and Germany, but I will say Germany, yes, that was fabulous. I was literally bopping up and down in my armchair at 6 a.m. in the morning. Great. Yes, and Stefan Raab, every time he's been involved in Eurovision, has never finished outside the top 10 so far. So I think he's really done a great job behind the scenes. I'm going to be a bit honest about the UK. I found that terrible. I think for a song that really relies so much on a strong vocal performance. They kept falling off time throughout the performance. I thought that was pretty poor, to be honest. The staging I felt was quite cringe. And I don't know what Courtney Act was on about them being the next Spice Girls or whatever she said. I think she had a few too many vodka cruisers in the in the booth. But no, I have to be the voice of reason. I think I speak for a lot of people. I wasn't very impressed with the UK at all. Sorry.
I think Courtney is a consummate professional and knows better than to air her opinions on the SBS, if you will. Um, let's go. Let's have a think about some of the other acts that were tonight. This is your opportunity. What's one act that you'd really like to highlight as being particularly impressive, a particular highlight for you? I'm going to start in this case because I'm really pleased because I have been saying all season that Luxembourg was people when it won the national final, people were like, junior Eurovision. Then people were like, I've forgotten about it. It's cringy. No, I have had faith in this. I have always believed that this is not a fan song. This is a general public song. It has a clear point of view. It has a sort of, it's memorable. It's not really quite like anything else in Eurovision this year. And to top it all off, they've given it a really good staging performance. That first shot of her in the 1960s style Jetsons, futuristic sort of living room is so cool. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you can see how it's done, but you can see how it's done in the way where you go, oh, that's awesome. Like, I've never quite seen that done before. Laura Thorne, any concerns about her vocals from the national final? Gone. She's a professional. Sounds great. Um, I think this is doing a Loin d'ici from 2016. I think she's getting that solid mid-table result, probably with a pretty good televote score to back her up. Well done, Laura. Hayley, what about you? What's one song you'd like to talk about?
I'll talk about my song in a minute, but Luxembourg, I was never worried about that not qualifying.
Mhm.
I always thought it was going to qualify. And God, she's got a lot of charisma. My favorite, which happens to be in my top five, I loved Greece, and I'm stoked Greece got through. Her vocals, I was concerned about the staging because some of those still pictures you see, it was black on black, but it was actually quite a colorful performance. Her vocals are incredible. So, my favorite of the night was Greece. Simple as that. I love Greece. And also shout out to Denmark for qualifying.
Yeah, my only thing on Greece was by the point that they called her out in the night. I was like, she was last, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, no, I need it to be Australia. I need it to
Yeah,
be
I know,
Australia.
I know. I felt the same.
But like, no begrudging her. I also thought
Yeah, it
this
was
was
a
really good.
sacrifice I was willing to make.
Yeah, no, no, no. I also thought it was really good. I was pleasantly surprised by it tonight.
Yeah.
Saskia, what about you?
For me, it's Latvia. I have been so on board the Latvia train since Supernova, and even I thought that it wasn't going to qualify. I just thought that it wouldn't appeal to the televote. And then after semi one, that was the most confident I've felt in it because I'm someone who I haven't watched any clips of the rehearsals. I've only seen the photos and like small like little things. Like I've tried to avoid it, and I was so impressed with how they elevated it. They looked incredible. The fact that semi one showed that Europe really wanted like interesting things and cultural things in the final, and so I felt the most confident I had ever had in that entry immediately after semi-final one. And I think they qualified comfortably. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Lithuania because that was always going to qualify. And I think they both would have done very well in the semi-final.
I owe, I think, Laura and yourself an apology. So I was like, when Latvia won Supernova, I was like, it's nice. I like it. I think it's doomed. Like, who is voting for this? But I agree. By the time I saw it on the night, I was like, yeah, that's going to appeal to someone. I think, yeah, it's got that sort of 90s world music vibe to it. It's like, it's not Enya, but I can see someone who likes Enya, I think would also like this. Is the vibe. Yeah. And so yeah, I wasn't surprised to see it go through. Sam, what about you?
I'd like to give a shout out to Armenia. I thought, they had really fantastic staging. I mean, this was a song that was expected not to qualify with the studio version, and I think that was pretty reasonable given it's quite a generic rock track. But, the lighting show, the black and white lights, that was fantastic. I think the whole sort of dirty grunge look made him look really appealing. The sound mix of the song was really good. I think it really captured the intensity of the whole rock performance, and that long note was very good. Vocals very strong. So I think he really had the whole package. And of course, my girl Hayley from Austria last year was the stage director, so I'm very proud of her. But yes, I thought Armenia did a brilliant job from transforming from probably sort of non-qualifier to, I think, probably a pretty solid qualifier.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I still don't know if I love the song Survivor, but I love Pug, and I'm gonna leave that there. So one other point which I just realized, I think this is the first year in a long time where we have no Yugoslav nations in the final because Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro, Slovenia all missed out. So let's have a quick chat about that. Is it? I mean, there's been a chat about whether Eurovision's neglecting Eastern Europe in terms of, trying to get them involved in the competition and stuff. Does this really help that? I don't know. Does this make things worse? What do you reckon, Hayley?
It's sad. I
Mm.
mean, last 2 years, Serbia's gotten through by the skin of their teeth. I mean, maybe if you would put a ballad into semi-final one, perhaps maybe Montenegro, maybe that would have been a better.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just none of those songs. I mean, my favorite was the Montenegro one, but I didn't feel any of those four songs were going to make it through to the grand final at any point. Well, actually, I lie. At the beginning of the season, I thought Montenegro would sail through, but it was not to be. So I don't know what they can do, because it can't be encouraging for to get your Bosnia back, and it's a concern. I don't know what to say really.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't over exaggerate too much. Like last year, we got three of them, I think. Serbia,
Yeah.
Croatia, Slovenia all made it through. But I agree. I think there was just an issue. I liked Slovenia's song. I genuinely have a soft spot for it. Maybe I'm just a bit sappy. But I I I couldn't really honestly say hand on heart that I thought any of these songs were ready to go through. But it's nonetheless, it's not a great look, and it's not a great sign for where the contest is going. Saskia, Sam, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't read too much into it. I think it is just
Mhm.
a weak year for them. And if you look at like the Balkans, we've got Greece and Albania. So it's not like there's nothing being represented from that region. I did think that Slovenia would make it through. I thought that was quite, if out of any of the Yugoslav countries, I think that would have been the one to make it. But I do think that while the EBU isn't like hindering the Eastern European countries, they're definitely not doing them any favors either. Like putting Montenegro second when they're so dicey with
Inexplicable.
this, it's just I don't know why you do
Yeah.
that. You gave Luxembourg a closing position with a non-closing song last year, like rolled
Yeah.
out the red carpet, and then you have a famously dodgy country like in terms of like not qualification, in terms of participation,
Mhm.
and they immediately shaft them.
Mm.
And yeah, like I think that was absolutely the wrong move.
They couldn't have given Montenegro less of a chance. I will
Yeah.
say, I think if you put Slovenia in Croatia or Serbia's running order slot, I would have given that possibly even more of a shot to edge through. I do think that the main problem with that one was that it was just on so early. Um, let's move on just to avoid making an hour-long video. Uh, let's have a chat about Courtney and Tony. It was their second go this morning. I felt like they were a little bit more confident. They felt a bit more at ease this morning. How are you guys feeling about the commentary team? Sam?
Yeah, I think I've been won over. I think a lot of people said that Tony definitely sounded a lot more comfortable today.
Mm.
I do think, obviously, I do think they're being very nice at the moment. I didn't hear them sort of, have any critique or too negative about anyone. I mean, calling the UK Spice Girls, hello. Um, So yeah, I would like them though, maybe a bit of constructive criticism is for them to be a bit more constructive and be a bit honest. I mean, they're entitled to their opinions as well. And I know maybe they don't want to affect the vote too much and all that, perhaps. Maybe that's why they're being very polite. But, I think like a bit of opinion to spice it up. Isn't that what sort of Courtney Act and Tony are known for, to be a bit out there and a bit, a bit different. So I'd like to see that come in a bit more.
I think there's a real line there because yeah, I agree. Maybe it feels
Yeah.
a little bit sort of bloodless at the moment, but then you risk coloring the audience's impressions of songs before they've even had a chance to hear them. And yeah, I think that's a balance that I think they'll get better at. Hayley, do you have anything to say?
I just thought they were great. I was really impressed. They spoke the right amount. They
Mhm.
didn't talk over songs. Um, they were great. I felt comfortable that it was going well, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah.
What about you, Saskia?
Yeah, I don't really have much to comment on. Like, I kind of wish that they, yeah, like you were saying, Sam, like, I kind of wish that they did a little bit more jokes. Like, I don't think that the commentators saying something a little bit, like,
Spicy.
yeah, is like really actually going to harm an act that much. If you like it, you like it. I don't think Courtney Act is going to change your opinion on that. Uh, but yeah, I think yeah, it is a very fine line and it is very early on. So I can see if they keep doing this for the next couple years and they really grow into it and they kind of know how to toe the line of what they can and can't, like what's
Yeah.
too far. I think they could make like a really good act, like double act. But right now it's early days.
Yeah, I think they're really promising, is what I'd say at this stage. I'm very happy with how it's going. Last thing to discuss, our interval acts tonight was an amazing
Oh,
opportunity to see four acts from 2020 doing their lost Eurovision performances. So we had The Roop from Lithuania, Destiny from Malta, Effendi from Azerbaijan, and my brain's gone. Who was the fourth one?
Dion's Tears from Switzerland.
Oh, John's Tears, my favorite. John's Tears from Switzerland, of course. No, genuinely, I love John.
Yeah.
Um, what a pleasure to see them. Of course, it was a little bit odd that we got four who had actually then just come back in 21
Yes.
anyway. But still, I feel. What did you guys think about the selection of songs? Was it exciting to see these acts on stage finally? Saskia, I'm going to go to you first.
I was so happy with it. I don't have the same criticism of which acts they selected because picking ones that did come back kind of makes sense because it means that the whole audience is somewhat familiar with them.
True.
And also, they were all like favorites to win. Like, if they
Mm.
pulled out whoever represented Portugal that year, like everyone would be a bit. So it was songs that
I love
everyone
Portugal
wanted to
that year.
see.
I have no.
Like, no
Really?
diss against the song, but like, it's just most of the people at
Yeah.
home
No, no,
would not really know what's going on. Uh, I thought it was a great selection of four songs. I wish there were more. That interval act could
Yeah.
have gone on for another 2 hours. I would have been fine with it.
Mm.
But
no,
yeah,
no. I
especially
agree.
hearing Capon de Moi and All of My Love, which were two of my favorites that year, and The Roop as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
Um, it was
I
just so nice to see. If I could make one change, I think I would have added one more song, and it would have been Iceland. I
yeah.
yeah.
feel like they probably would have been contacted,
I
but maybe
reckon we
they
said
just didn't
no.
show up. But there's no
Yeah.
way that they didn't reach out to them.
No, I had that thought as well. And I think the other thing I'd say about these four songs is that all of them were ones where I remember thinking in 2020 that I particularly wanted to see what they were going to look like live. Maybe not so
Yeah.
much the group because we had the national final performance, but like Cleopatra was the song where everyone
Oh,
wanted to know what he was going to do with it. All of My Love, I always wanted to see Destiny's live vocal. Finally got to see her do it at Eurovision on tour last year, but so great to see her do it in this sort of proper televised setting. But, I thought it was a really good choice of acts. Although I agree, I felt like Davi was the main one who was missing.
yeah.
Sam, what about you?
Yeah, I think I actually agree with most of Saskia's points there. I think Iceland as well, because he got COVID, he didn't actually get to perform on stage in Eurovision 2021 like properly. So it would have been nice to see him there. I think he was well tipped to win in 2020.
Yeah.
I agree with Saskia as well. At first I was like, oh, it'd be nice to see, like a Ulrika or a Ben Dolic or the Mamas even. But then again, like, yeah, you need that sort of familiarity with some of the 2021 acts who have gone. Yeah, and I'm just happy to have seen Cleopatra was my favorite in 2020, so it was great to finally see that live on a Eurovision stage. Fabulous.
Yeah, agree. Hayley, what about you?
I would have liked to have seen Montaigne on stage. That would have been excellent to see her. But my favorite was Destiny, and I will admit I was sobbing like a baby. I could not stop crying. I mean, yeah, I got to see her sing that song Eurovision on tour, but to see it on the Eurovision stage, it's just such a missed opportunity with that song. So, I mean, and I love the group, and that's always wonderful to see the group on stage. So it was spectacular. I loved it.
Destiny was so special seeing it. Also, I don't think we've discussed it. Malta qualified, amazing. Also, I just want to put out my favorite stat out there. I think this is the first MESC winner to qualify since 2014. So well over a decade, because every Maltese qualification since has either come from not MESC or they changed the song after MESC.
Yeah.
So it's the first MESC winner to actually qualify in over a decade. Anyway, to wrap us up, we've seen all the acts at least once now in a live setting. So obviously you're all going to have very clear ideas who's going to win on Saturday. So to wrap us up, my last question is, who do you think is winning Eurovision 2025? Don't need a song and dance about it. I just need a name. Hayley, who's winning Eurovision 2025?
I've changed my mind. Switzerland.
Switzerland. Saskia.
If you'd asked me before the show, I would have said Austria. Now I'm saying Sweden.
Sweden. Interesting. Sam.
I'm gonna stick with my boys from Sweden.
I don't know.
Come on, make a
I'm
decision.
No song and dance.
no, no. Gas heads. I am gonna say
We're
Come on,
waiting.
leave soon.
I'm gonna say Germany, and I'm definitely gonna be wrong, but I'm gonna say it because at least that's a confidently wrong prediction. Um,
Oh,
but I'd love it. So you know what? Okay, but if I'm being serious, it's probably gonna be like Sweden or Switzerland. But Germany. You heard it here first, guys. Anyway, obviously a sad day for all of us to see
yeah.
Gojo not make the final, but a wonderful semi-final overall. It's been a pleasure checking in to chat about and debrief on the results we had this morning. Thank you so much to Saskia, Sam, and Hayley for joining me here, and we'll see you again after the grand final on Sunday morning.
Mm.
Cheers, guys. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.